go to the AFC Championship game. Did you get your money's worth? Holy cow. We played a 17-game schedule, the playoffs, so we could go right down to the final 8 seconds of the game before the thing was decided. How about Kansas City? How about Patrick Mahomes? How about the Chiefs overcoming their own adversity? They got it done. There's no doubt that Mahomes re-injured that high ankle by running around and trying to throw off balance, but he limped through it and he came back on, and then he made the brazen run right at the end of the game to try to get him in the field goal range, bad ankle and all, and then he got blown out of bounds by Joseph Asai, the Cincinnati linebacker, on the personal foul hit, and they win it on the field goal, the long-distance field goal, into the cold winter night of Kansas City. They did this without 3 wide receivers. They ran out of wide receivers like the 49ers ran out of quarterbacks. And Cincinnati came out of character. And we talked about this on our Friday Notebook segment, that I asked the question, will Cincinnati do what they've never done before? They blitzed him 25 times yesterday. But he was able to sidestep the blitz. They were able to create a pocket to protect him. When he had to break containment, it looked ugly and it looked out of sync. And he didn't have a lot of accuracy, but he did it nonetheless. That's a great quarterback whose record now is 74-19 and 10-3 in postseason play. And from Cincinnati's perspective, Joe Burrow played really hard. They really pressured him a lot. He threw for 270. He threw 2 interceptions. He did not have much of a running game. He lost wide receivers along the way too, so they weren't playing at full strength. But I think the bottom line was that Kansas City did what they did. They blitzed. They sent a lot of guys after Burrow against what suddenly became an beleaguered offensive line made up of more backups than starters. So it's a tough end for Cincinnati. Kansas City just overcame obstacles to get to the Super Bowl. And Mahomes, playing on one ankle healthy, one ankle injury, still threw for 326. And they spread the ball around to a lot of people. And some of their backup guys and some of the young guys really stepped up, especially defensively, and played pretty well. The Osai hit, there's a lot of criticism. I think it was a football play. It's a young guy going 100 miles an hour, trying to prevent Mahomes from getting out of bounds. But he ran into him in the white area over the boundary marker, and they threw the penalty flag. A lot of his teammates rallied around him after the game in the post-game press conferences. 1 or 2 teammates were very critical. It's a football play by a young football player. He'll remember this the rest of his life. It's too bad it kind of cost him this game, but what a matchup between the 2 young guns.
Yeah, it was terrific. Both these teams on the field. I think I saw a tweet from Rich Orenberger, and he had said that Mahomes has been in the league 5 years, and he's been in an AFC title game all 5 years. I mean, so you got to give a tip of the hat to what Mahomes has done. But the criticism of the referees in that game, Hacksaw, I mean, what's your take on that?
I don't understand why the game got out of control from Ron Tolbert, the lead referee. Mm-hmm. There were clock management problems. There was the replay of what, or should have been a replay of that big pass down the sidelines that Devontae Smith caught one-handed and then obviously bobbled. Mm-hmm. I don't know why the replay booth would not stop the play for an evaluation. But obviously Philadelphia thought, well, this is questionable. We're running to the line of scrimmage on the next snap. So I thought the management of the game clock and some of the explanations about blown plays and taking a play off the books, I've never seen that in modern day NFL football. I thought the officiating in that game left something to really be desired.
But they all went in Kansas City's favor. I mean, and so, I mean, there were just even incidental things like when Burrow got knocked down, he doesn't get called for, they don't call him for roughing the passer, but when it happens the other way, it applies. So it's just, if you're a Bengals fan, you have to be so disappointed because that game was within your reach and it just fell apart at the end.
But Kansas City did win it, and they won it without a bunch of their wide receivers.
Yeah.
And they won it with a quarterback operating at probably 60% capacity. They've got 2 weeks now of intense therapy, and they'll get Patrick Mahomes completely healthy for the Super Bowl. And the Super Bowl, boy, do we need any more storylines aside from two great teams, Kansas City, Philadelphia? Do we need more storylines? Andy Reid, his team now versus his old team. Need more storylines? The Kelsey brothers who'd argue at the dinner table as kids growing up in Cleveland, now going to face each other. Great Super Bowl coming a couple weeks from now, capping off what I think has been an electric NFL season.
Yeah, it's going to be a great Super Bowl. And we got to wait 2 weeks, though, because they spread it out. They build the hype for 2 weeks. That's going to be difficult. But it's going to be a great Super Bowl. Both teams number one in each conference. So you got the top dogs going at each other.
Yeah. Going to be fun. Now, we got other football stories we're going to talk about very briefly today. And then, of course, to the end of the week, when we do our regular Thursday podcast, we'll have a lot more topics on the table. What do you